you. Oh God, you are my God, and I will ever praise you. I will seek you in the morning, and I will learn to walk in your ways. And step by step you'll lead me, and I will follow you all of my days. Welcome back into the Rick and Bubba Show. What a busy show we have today for all of our listeners out there. We've got some special guests today on the Rick and Bubba Show. We want all of you audience members to know that if you've got any questions for our guests, feel free to call in at any time at 866-WE-BE-BIG. But first, let's bring in the silver-tongued one, the man with the golden voice, professional lunch eater's man of the year, the inventor of pizza in a cup, Shakespeare's worst nightmare, and the master of the King's English. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Bill Bubba Bussey! Howdy, Bubba.
How about it, Rick Burgess? Friends, neighbors, and associates everywhere, welcome into a little show we like to call Rick and Bubba. But first, before we kick off this segment, let's recap the sports highlights from this week.
Well, with no shock to anyone, it appears that the Crimson Tide still remains in the top 5 of the college football playoff rankings, while the Auburn Tigers and Tennessee Volunteers sadly plummet down them.
You all know that anything could happen between now and the playoffs.
Yeah, and you notice that Adler's out again this week, and Helmsley called in sick today.
I did notice that. Lord willing, Helmsley will be back tomorrow, but Adler's vacationing in, what is it, Cancun?
Yeah, he's vacationing in Cancun.
Huh. And our producers are paying him while he's in Cancun?
It's my understanding they are.
Well, good for him.
There's a little sarcasm in your voice, Rick.
I'm just looking around this studio, and I don't see no palm trees or no white sand, but my paycheck looks just like Adler's. Just curious.
Well, this is going to cheer you up. We also just received a postcard from him today. Yo, Speedy, you got that card?
Yeah, I got the card.
Well, why don't you go ahead and read it aloud for all the listeners and Rick to give them some joy today on Adler's behalf.
Dear Rick and Bubba family, greetings from the Hospitin, Cancun, or as we'd say it, the Cancun Hospital. I ended up here after an incident that took place yesterday on the beautiful, salty shores of the Marlin Beach. I was sitting in my new Tommy Bahama Beach Lounger when I dozed off. Much to my surprise, I woke up greeted as close as I've ever been by the setting sun. I say that because my skin felt as if I was literally sitting on the sun itself. I was diagnosed with second-degree burns and had been treated from head to toe with a special cream. Turns out it's just glorified mayonnaise. See you soon, Adler.
So, just to clarify, he's sitting in a foreign hospital bed, sunburnt and covered head to toe in mayonnaise?
Well, that's the way I took it.
I would never want to eat mayonnaise again, knowing that it was on Adler.
Well, I think it's a great time to bring out our first guest.
Yep.
Speedy, who we got with us today?
Our first guest comes to us from Jerusalem. His name is Daniel. He prayed to God 3 times a day, which went against the law. He was caught praying and was punished by being thrown into a den of hungry lions. But because of his faith, God shut the mouths of the lions, and Daniel's life was spared.
Wow, what bravery. Let's bring him on out.
Daniel, welcome.
It's good to be here.
I bet it is. It's better to be here than in that lion's den where you came from.
Yes, but I was not worried when I was in the den.
How come? Were the lions not hungry?
Yes, they were, but I knew my God would protect me. He always has and he always will.
Well, my question is this. Why would you not just pray silently or pray where they can't see you?
I am not ashamed of the relationship I have with my Lord. I want people to see what He has done for me so they can have the same relationship.
Wow, you're such an inspiration. Thanks for coming in and sharing your story.
Coming up, we've got another guest who is passionate about murder, but now he's passionate about something else.
That's got to be a good thing. We'll be right back after this message.
Man, I didn't even see that fire hydrant. It like came out of nowhere and my car drove straight into it.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Jake from State Farm, my car flew right in a fire hydrant. It wasn't my fault, I promise.
No worries, Brady. State Farm has great rates for everyone, even people who drive their cars into fire hydrants.
Thanks, Jake from State Farm. But for real, it wasn't my fault.
Welcome back into the Rick and Bubba Show. It's 10 minutes to the top of the hour. We've got another special guest for y'all, so don't go anywhere.
That's right, Rick. We're going to talk about something near and dear to our hearts. Ain't that right, Gary?
He's sleeping again.
You betcha, Bubba. I want to take a moment to share something important with y'all. Sometimes you can't have nothing, but as a professional bulldozer driver, my job is all about clearing paths and making way for new beginnings.
Yeah, Gary's always talking about how he helps build things from the ground up.
That's right, Speedy. And you know, Gary's dedication to his work reminds me of a powerful message that's found in the Bible. In Romans chapter 1, verse 16, it says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes."
Ain't that the truth, Rick? Just like Gary isn't ashamed of his profession, we ought to not be ashamed of our faith in God.
Absolutely, Bubba. Whether I'm bulldozing through obstacles or sharing a message of hope, I do it with pride and conviction. And you know what? That same faith gives me strength to face any challenge that comes my way.
When I was a lineman at Alabama Power, I met all kinds of people. Some of them had common sense, but some of them didn't. Because you know, a common sense is a superpower. So I had to make sure to tell everyone about Jesus.
That's right, Greg. We got to be strong in our faith in order to bring people to Christ.
And there you have it, folks. A reminder from our friends Gary and Greg about the power of faith and the importance of being unashamed of our beliefs.
Appreciate y'all coming in and sharing y'all's wisdom with us today. Y'all truly are a beacon of inspiration.
Our next guest has quite the story to tell, so I'm not going to waste any of his time.
Speedy, introduce this next guest.
Paul is a recovering Christian hater who now lets them live and serves their God. He preaches all over the Roman Empire, spreading the message of hope that Jesus came to the earth to die for everyone, not just the Jewish people.
A recovering Christian hater? Is it safe to have him in the studio?
Well, I guess we're going to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Hello, Rick. Thanks for having me.
So, let me get this straight. You used to hate Christians?
Unfortunately, I did.
Now, when you say hate,
I stoned dozens of people to death just for declaring that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. But one day, on my way to Damascus, Jesus found me and showed me how I was persecuting his people. He urged me to stop working against him and start working for him. He gave me the mission to spread the good news to not only the Jews, but also the Gentiles. Jesus died on the cross for everyone. For you, for Bubba, and even the rest of the crew.
Were people not afraid you were going to kill them when you tried to preach to them?
Sure, several people that I even used to work with tried to kill me.
What'd you tell them?
I told them that I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes, to the Jews first and also the Gentile. I will keep preaching this message till I see Jesus face to face.
wow, Paul, your message is not only one that comforts, but one that inspires. I really wish there was a way we could thank you for sharing this message with us today. Hey, Rick,
Yep.
you got any ideas of gratitude?
Well, it's not much, but I've got an idea. Speedy, how about we let our new friend Paul have a spin on the Wheel of Me?
Wheel of Me keeps on turning. Ooh, if I know when to Hey, Speedy, what we got up on our wheel today?
This Wheel of Meat is sponsored by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. Beef! That's what's for dinner.
All right, Paul, what do you say?
Wow, what a wheel!
Give that big old wheel a spin.
Number 4, what's that?
It looks like a big, thick cut of brisket.
Whoa!
Hey, Bubba.
Hey.
You look like a big, thick cut of brisket.
Hey, I ain't ashamed of that. But most importantly, like our friend here, Paul and Daniel, I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
We are, however, ashamed to call that mayonnaise-covered knucklehead in Cancun our co-worker.
Next week, we're going to talk about the premature playlist of breakup songs for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Thanks for being with us. We'll be back again starting next week. Until then, y'all take care.